Back in it again, ladies and gentlemen. So today we're going to be doing our Saturn transit video. And the meaning of Saturn going over other planets. What does it mean? We listen to, other astrologers. We read books about what's going to happen for your 2015 horoscope, 2018 horoscope, and you just read, the digested material, but you really do not know how the astrologer is actually coming to that assumption. Why is the astrologer saying that this is going to happen because this is what's happening? Because they don't talk about this is what's happening. They only talk about this is what's going to happen. And so this is why this series that I'm doing is about what is it exactly each planet does in transit. And literally my very first planet for transit Sun had 4 parts. I'm guessing actually 5 parts. This might also has 4 or 5 parts. This is my second part to this Saturn transit video of Saturn going over other planet. And as always, if you do not know where your Saturn is placed and where your other planet replacements are, what planet each rules each house or sign, because that's important when you're studying transit. Also, all my other books, my astrology, conjunction and aspects of the speed of light, my consultation, everything is at this link here. So when you get the chart, you'll be like, oh, my moon's placed in this house, in this sign, my Venus is placed in this house, in this sign, and Saturn is transiting here. So then you can refer back to these videos like, okay, so it's transiting over my moon. What's going to be happening? That's what we're going to be discussing today. And one thing I will say is that enjoy this Saturn as much as you can. Enjoy this background as much as you can, because it's going to be gone within 3 days. Because thanks to Jupiter and Saturn double transit, me and my wife, we bought our first house. So we're actually going to be moving to that new property by November. Our escrow is going to be done in October, and then we're going to move into the new property in November. So yeah, just enjoy it. It'll be a whole new background. The new house is just amazing. I actually have my own studio now. I have my whole basement set up where there's going to be, it's far bigger than this room, first of all. And it's 3 times the size of this room. So I can have my editing, I can have my soundstage, everything in there. So anyway, today we're talking about Saturn transit over other planet. Last video that I made of Saturn transit part 1, I talked to you about what is it that the Saturn transit means. So you should go back to that video to really understand what Saturn does. Why it's a big misconception to think that Saturn punishes us. And I explained that in my last video. And it's in my playlist of Saturn. So when the magic of transit doesn't just come from planets transiting over a house in a sign. That's like the stuff that is underneath the foundation. You just know it's there. I'm here in this house. I don't need to always constantly think that, wow, this house is on a foundation. I just know it can only stand on a foundation. But what the magic comes into play of Saturn or any other planet is when they transit over other planets. When they transit over each other, that's when the triggering point comes. That's when you can see that at this time period, this has got to happen. So Saturn, when it transits over other planets, or anywhere it transits, and again, I'm going to give a small little brief from last video, is that it's not trying to bring misery to you. It's not trying to make your life miserable. It is not trying to get you into trouble. No. All Saturn does, whatever you have done in the past, all the shenanigans you have been doing for the last year or two, he just brings it to surface. What are the results of those things? So last video I said, you end up in a jail when Saturn was transiting the 12th house over a certain planet. And an astrologer, a common astrologer will say, well, Saturn is the significator of misery and sorrow and hard times. That's what he's doing. No. Saturn just didn't transit over your certain house and planet and then say, boom, you're going to go to jail. You went to jail. You had a whole business of prostitution. You were pimping women out. You had a drug dealing business. You were killing people just to make sure that your trucks get through, your drugs get through the other countries so your sales can come up. Sure, you were making multi-millions, billions. But all the actions that you took that were negative, all the karma that you built just to get to your billions, Saturn's like, guess what's going to happen now with this karma? So Saturn is not, triggering something right away. You have been doing it yourself. It was your own free will that was creating all sorts of shenanigans because you were clogged by greed. You were clogged by money. All you saw was the dollar signs. You didn't care for life. You didn't care for children, a mother, a husband. You wanted to get your drugs through. So you can't blame Saturn that, it transited my 12th house. Bam. I hate Saturn. I don't like Saturn. I hear that all the time. And that's just the most idiotic things you can think of when it comes to Saturn. You got to see that he's shedding the light on all the negative things that you did so you can perfect yourself. So that's what I explained in my last video for 35 minutes. So first of all, Saturn, when it transits Sun, wherever your Sun is placed and it's transiting over your Sun, the first thing it's going to do is bring responsibilities to the self. Sun or Saturn transiting over the Sun will show you where your responsibilities need to be right now. So if your responsibilities on your girlfriend, your romantic life, yet your mother is suffering in the house, she has ill health, she always worries about you, you don't treat her right, when Sun transits over Sun, he's going to bring responsibility to you. You are now responsible for things in your life that you weren't paying attention to. Your ego is going to be hurt because now, instead of hanging out with the cool crowd at 11:30, at 1 a.m. in the morning, not worrying about where you are at home, who cares, I'm not going to call home. Now Sun is like hurting your ego. Now Saturn is like putting pressure on your ego. You're now forced to see things that you should be responsible for. How do you see that? You see what house the Sun is ruling. Whatever house the Sun is ruling in your horoscope, that part will become very important regarding the responsibilities you're going to be facing. So if Sun was ruling your 4th house, your mother, your home, your emotions, and responsibilities within the home will become the upmost focal point when Saturn transits over Sun. At the same time, wherever Sun is placed, whether it's sitting in its own sign and house, the 4th house, or we're sitting somewhere else, it's going to execute those responsibilities through those houses. So Sun rules the 4th house, Sun is in the 8th house, Saturn transits over it. It's going to bring sudden emergency responsibilities regarding your home, your mother. Whether it's a sudden flooding within your home, your mother suddenly needs to be, she called 911 and she had to be in a hospital. And now suddenly you hanging out with your friends, having that cool time on Friday, now you have to be at the hospital. Now you have to be feeding your mother. Your mother is on tubes now. So that's what Saturn is doing. He said, look, I'm not telling you should not have fun, but you did not pay attention to this house. So now your ego is hurt. Your friends are wondering, where are you now? Where's your cool car? Why aren't you driving there? We're not hanging out with us. You're not picking up your phone calls. So now your self-esteem is low. Your ego is low. The ego is the most malefic part of sun. Sun is a hot planet, right? It burns you. But sun also carries this ego that Saturn comes and subdues or burns it himself. That's why sun is a malefic planet in Vedic astrology. Not because of the fact it's hot, but it gives us ego. We think of ourselves as something that we are totally not close to it. Like you're some big movie star and a mother bringing you water on the movie set, and if your water is just 5 degrees above the temperature you like, you throw the water on her face, not realizing that it's a mother that you're throwing the water on. And trust me, I have been in the movie industry. I was in it for over 8 years. I've met people, I've seen things on sets. I know how it goes. So what Saturn does, when he comes over your sun, bam, you get kicked off the movie set. You're no longer part of the project. You're not getting any more movies. So Saturn, what is doing, because of the actions you took against an innocent servant in a movie set, he is bringing you these things. And I'm very real about these things. Why is it that people like Tom Cruise, Amitabh Bachchan, Brad Pitt, Shah Rukh Khan always stay on top? If you ever watch them on a movie set, if you ever see what they do on a movie set, they take care of Saturn. What is Saturn? Servants. People who are in service, people who take care of you, the person who's putting makeup on you while the director is about to call action. Like if you notice, Amitabh sits with his production assistant. The guy who carries the light, he's there eating with them. Shah Rukh Khan, he's drinking coffee with these people and being very humble. Humbleness is the key word with Saturn transiting over Sun. If you know Saturn's coming over your Sun, if you weren't humble in life, you better be ready to face humility forced by Saturn, where he's going to kick you so bad that you'll be from a superstar to the level of that person that you were throwing the water in front of. And you'll be like, oh my goodness, why did this happen? Sun is the authority. Sun is the government. So all these shenanigans that you were doing can get you into trouble with government. Put you in jail. That's government, right? You weren't paying your taxes. Put you in jail. The IRS puts you in jail. You weren't being responsible with your father. And so when Saturn transits over your Sun, creates a major problem with your father. But is it that Saturn is going to do this the entire time, every time it transits your Sun? No. You watch. Why is it that when your friend's Saturn transits over the Sun, his father gets a promotion, your Saturn transits over your Sun, your father loses his job or your father gets in the riffraff with you? This depends on the dignity of the Sun. And this is the chess game of astrology. Due to the dignity of your Sun, whether it's exalted, debilitated, enemy sign, enemy house, you are automatically going to be doing certain negative things in life. No matter how many times I can call you every day Before 2.5 years, when Saturn will transit over your sun, I'm saying, be careful, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And you will do that. That's your free will and karma coming into play. You'll be like, whatever. This guy, at that time, you'll be like, what is astrology? Forget it. I'm going to just do this. I'm going to cheat this person. I'm going to do this. And then when Saturn comes, things happen. Your ego gets destroyed. So this is why the dignity of the sun shows your actions throughout. But remember, the dignity of any planet cannot be seen just from the birth chart. You got to look at the Namansha chart. How strong is that planet? Sure, your planet is debilitated in the birth chart, but it's exalted in the Namansha chart, exalted in the Sastyamsa chart, the D60 chart, or the D9 chart. What this shows that you can overcome these urges to do negative things in life. So when you're doing positive things and Saturn transits over your sun, blessings. And once I learned this part back in 2009 or 10, and I've seen this happen in my own life, man. It's great results when you're humble. Saturn transits over your moon. You become focused and responsible about balancing your mind. Now think about this. Many of the things that you will read about Saturn transiting over the moon be like, you'll be depressed. You'll find no joy in happiness, doing fun things during this time. Why? Have you ever thought about that? Why is it that you're not going to be having a good time in Saturn transit over your mind? Because Saturn, what it's doing is trying to discipline your mind. If you were irresponsible and making wrong decisions within the mind, it comes back and it like solves this jigsaw puzzle. And it tries to arrange the mind to be more responsible, to think before you take that action. So when you were not being responsible for your education, your work, your career, your family, your wealth, Saturn comes on your mind, it brings stress. Oh my God, I gotta do this. Oh my God, I gotta do that. Oh, I just want to be in my room because I'm depressed. Oh, why am I depressed? Saturn is transiting over the moon. But why is it doing this? Because of the fact you weren't being responsible in your actions that you were thinking here and bringing it out in the world. Because remember, everything starts here. I wouldn't exist right now in front of you unless I thought of it. Maybe I should start a YouTube channel. The reality is in here, not out here. So Saturn gives you a reality check, saying the things that you have been planning, the things that you were trying to follow and focus towards, are they useless or not? Well, if they're useless, I'm going to show you the reality. I'm going to show you these things that are not going to work out. I'm going to clean this out for you so you become more mature and you become into a person who can take responsible action, because when you take responsible actions, you get equally good or better reaction. So you are thinking you're going to be the next Amitabh Bachchan. You're going to be the next Tom Cruise or, Al Pacino or something. But then Saturn comes over your moon. It shows you the reality of how hard is it to make. And Saturn will show you to your mind whether you were working hard enough or not working hard at all. And then Saturn will make you into a person who can be focused on a task that can be accomplished. So instead of you wanting to become an Al Pacino, you'll be like, you know what? I can open up a non-profit organization and help these people, because that's what I experienced in my 1 year of this Saturn transit very closely over my moon. Responsibilities towards the mother comes into play with Saturn. You're going to have to help your mother if she's alive. If you were not responsible for your mother, you weren't taking care of her at all, Saturn can take her away too. That's why people so dread Saturn, because they feel like, oh my God, I'm going to be judged. Well, why are you scared of? I thought you're a good person. You're taking care of things in your life. You're taking care of your mother. You are taking responsible actions in your mind. Well, there's nothing to be worried about. But when we think, when Saturn goes over it, it cleans out all the garbage that's within us. Whether it happens at the age of 8, usually the transit give their bigger effect after the age of 18 because of the fact for the first 8 years you are connected to the mother's karma. The next 8 years you are connected to your past life karma. Then the last 2 years you start building the karma for this life. This is why planetary transit really have a huge effect after the age of 18. So whether it came at 15, 18, 20, 24, 28, Saturn made you into a mature person. So that's why when you meet an 18-year-old who's very mature, responsible, taking care of their education, taking care of this, and while you are out there trying to skip school so you can watch a movie, that's because Saturn came over their moon much earlier than yours. So they're thinking responsibly. They're not thinking irrationally. Saturn goes over your Mercury. And especially with Mercury and Moon, you got to realize that especially if these planets are in water signs and Saturn transits over them, it brings this waves, ups and downs waves. Because imagine if here's the Moon just sitting in the water, Mercury is sitting in the water, Saturn comes through his transits, throws on Mercury and Moon up, down. Then it takes a long while for this thing to settle down so that Saturn and Moon or Mercury are stable. But by that time, Saturn has already moved on. And this is why when Saturn transits over your Mercury, instead of depression, you get an anxiety, fear, unnecessary fear. Your nervous system goes haywire. Because that's what Mercury represents. So Saturn is here to now teach your Mercury to take logical, analytical decisions. Think 10 times before you take an action. So this way you are not feeling that fear within you. Like, let's say you were doing drugs. You were a drug addict, you were doing cocaine, marijuana, whatnot, a lot. And they completely screwed up your nervous system. Well, it's not Saturn that is now bringing this sudden fear and anxiety in you. It's because of the fact it's showing you the results of what you built in the past 4 years. And so you're feeling nervous. You're feeling like you just want to kill yourself because you feel this fear like something's going to come and kill you or hurt you. I have dealt with many people who've gone through this. And somehow, some way, in 1 week or another, I always see somebody who's Saturn's transiting over Mercury or Moon. But if, like, let's say the sign matters, so if it happens on the Earth sign, planets become more solid. Like, I'm on the ground. If I'm in the air, it's like Saturn is the airplane coming towards me, and I'm just going to be all over the place. I'm going to be feeling highs and lows. In water, I'm going to be feeling these tides of highs and lows. And the Earth sign becomes very solid. In a fire sign, Saturn transits over any planet in the fire sign. What Saturn does, it rejuvenates you. Anytime Saturn will transit over any planet in the fire sign, you feel like, yes, relief. I am finally breaking out of my shell and doing something that I want to do. But when it transits over your Mercury, issues with the siblings, the responsibilities towards the siblings, responsibilities towards your logical actions that you take. You become very careful of what you say in front of other people. You're very careful about not making a mistake of saying something stupid that can get you in trouble. What can get you in trouble is if your Mercury was karmically placed in a weak sign, and you were already building that, you're taking that responsibility of that weak Mercury to build that point when the Saturn comes in and judges everything. So if your actions were there, then yes, it's going to bring that fear into you. Now, one thing you also have to realize is that you are bringing so many things into astrology just by being born, that you have to know this chess game. Because remember, you can have a certain yoga being created in your horoscope that you brought from past life, and that yoga is going to be activated when Saturn goes over it. What's happening is, now you did something bad in your past life, that yoga was created in your birth chart, Saturn goes over that, activates that yoga, and suddenly you get into some trouble. But let me tell you, just like Sunil said, be glad that you are going through all that trouble right now. And I know you guys will not understand this, but in the next life, you will not have to deal with the same karma, because you paid that debt off in this life. So the more depressed you feel, the more hurt you feel, the less money you have in your life due to Saturn transit, be glad that you are going through this. Because once this debt is paid off, you're not going to longer have to deal with it anymore. Saturn transits over your Venus. Usually, they say in astrology that you can break up with your spouse, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatnot. You will feel very restricted in your ability to express your romantic emotions to other people, or people that you're with. People you want to be in a relationship with will be very restricted towards you. But what Saturn is truly doing is bringing responsibility of how to handle a relationship. If you were clowning around, and I've known these people as well in my consultations and whatnot, you break heart of an innocent person, regardless if you're a girl or man or woman. You wanted what you got, and you threw this person away. Then you went to this person, you got what you want, you threw them away. Plang, plang, plang. And then while you have built all this karma in this life, whether you cheated on these people, did not pay attention to these people, did not care for their emotions, just hurt them out of nowhere for no reason, then Saturn comes over your Venus, and now Saturn is going to make you pay for it. So what happens is, if you were doing some shenanigans, you break up with your wife files for divorce because she caught you cheating on her, and now you were worth $10 million, she takes away $6-7 million. All your hard-earned money gone that she took it away. Why did she take it away? Because of the fact you weren't responsible regarding your Venus previously. So when Saturn came, it just showed you what the built-up karma is now going to do. It's just like it drops this judgment on you. But then also remember, you could be a very nice person. Saturn transits over your Venus. You get married to the wrong person in life. You're the best person in life. You love people, but you got married to the wrong person in life. There's only 2 or 3 reasons behind it. One, you got married too early. You weren't supposed to get married because you have a free will. I see this all day long in my marriage consultation. A parent forced the daughter to get married at 22. She got divorced at 23. The person got married at 25, got divorced at 28. And you see that chart, you see the combination that they should have married at 34, 35. But of course, the hormones are running, the testosterone is running. They need to get married. That's what society says. Or your yoga combination of planets that are in your horoscope. So because of the fact of your previous karmas, your yoga was created, and when Saturn went over it, the yoga was activated. That means it was time to pay your debt off. And that's what you did, you paid your debt off. However, if you were responsible enough and to understand this chess game of astrology, you would be like, you know what, I'm not going to get married right now. I'll wait. I've only known this person for a month. I have not known them enough. I don't even know their best friends are like. I don't even know what their families is like. I'll wait. But Saturn, what it does is simply shows the results of what you have built in this life or in the past, 20 years or 28 years, or whenever Saturn transits over a particular planet. Whatever you have incurred through your action, it's just simply you're going to reap the results of it. This is why Saturn is so good in terms of making a person rich. You reap the results of your labor. You reap the fruits of your labor. Saturn transits over Mars shows that there's going to be some resolution related to your friends, your male friends, your male younger brother or brother in general. Your actions are going to be redirected to a more proper place. So Saturn coming over Mars, and Mars is our action, the action we take, the discipline that we have incurred, the ability that we have to fight. What Saturn does, it tells Mars to slow down. So what happens when Saturn transiting over your Mars, you may feel a little bit more lethargic and lazy. Like, well, maybe I don't want to do this. Or Saturn will take your action and put them to the right order. Like, you're doing something rigorously and you're working hard at it. Saturn comes over, everything goes back. And you know the reasons why. I've already given you, for example, the dignity of the planet, the yogas, how the planet, what house the planet is ruling. What Saturn is showing that, look, the energy that you're putting, the actions that you're putting towards your goal is not going to get you anywhere. You need to redirect your actions to some other place. You need to redirect your actions to a certain other event, project, entity, whatever. Saturn wants to resolve the issues that you have had with your brother. And this is why Saturn can resolve things. It always does. Either it resolves it in a tragedy, resolves it in a very beautiful, nice manner, or resolves it in a calm, average manner. That depends upon the yoga and the dignity that your Mars has created. Yet your free will can always change that if you take proper actions in this life. So if you know that you're taking advantage of your brother in business and your Saturn is about to come in your Mars in a year or 2 years, stop it. You have the free will to change your own actions so you do not hurt your brother or your male friend in business. So when Saturn comes, he may just judge you for that part that you were screwing, but then when you realize that you were screwing it, Saturn will be like, you know what, at least you paid attention to your bad actions. I won't give you that much of a trouble. And he doesn't. Saturn comes over your Jupiter. You weren't paying attention to your finances. So now he's going to restrict your finance. Saturn goes over Jupiter. Gives you responsibilities towards your teachers, your gurus. Whoever has mentored you, taught you things, gave you the wisdom in this life, you're not going to be responsible towards them. If you're not, he's going to hurt you throughout that transit. You weren't saving enough money. You didn't care for savings. Your morals weren't in the best of place. You were having an affair on your spouse. You were just becoming a, person who is racist, or somebody who feels they're superior to other people, and they think that their way of teaching things is the way. When Saturn comes over, Saturn nullifies it all. It's like, no, what you're teaching is not the teaching, it's not the way. It's just the way. So anytime you try to overpower other people because of your philosophy, which Jupiter is, and because of Jupiter, wars are created over religion, over philosophy. Well, my philosophy is that a woman cannot walk out of door without her burqa on. Oh, is that your philosophy? Okay. So Saturn transits over you, and then you see this airstrike of a plane right upon in your area, and you get killed by the blast. Why? Because you thought that your morals, your guidance, your philosophy is the it, and your ego as that person built. You were wasting money. You were throwing money away on useless things, not saving it. Well, Saturn is now here to show you the reality of what happens when you don't have money. So he'll bring you situations where you're going to need money, and you're like, oh my God, what do I do now? But if you were responsible, you were saving money all the time, taking care of your financing, respecting your gurus, having a higher philosophical mind, which does not judge a person on their race, creed, or religion. When Saturn comes over your Jupiter, he's going to bless your Jupiter. He's going to be like, here, more money. You have managed everything so well, so the results are you get money. Like if on a woman's chart, Saturn goes over Jupiter, usually shows us a husband is facing a lot of responsibilities, a lot of whatever towards the house, wherever Jupiter is sitting in. And the way you can judge this, if it's going to give results or not, again, the dignity of that planet. Does your husband in your chart, not their chart, just your Jupiter on your chart, has incurred any kind of a yoga from past life? Then Saturn transit over Saturn itself. This is called Saturn return. This happens between 28 and 30 years of age. This is where Saturn literally activates your Saturn. That's what it does. It's kind of like your Saturn is sleeping since the moment you were born. Yeah, it was there, blah, 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 blah. Bam, bam, Saturn just reactivates it, going over it. Now you're like responsible. Oh my goodness, real world, here we go. This is why a man, this is the saying. It's not being sexist or anything. It's just a saying that a man is not a man at the age of 18. A man is not a man at the age of 21. A man is not a man at the age of 25. But a man is a man after the age of 28. You're not an adult at 16, 18, 20, 21. I don't care how much you think of it. Absolute idiots and morons are running around at this age most of the time, most of the places in this world. Being irresponsible, wanting to just party. Like when I have sometimes conversation, I'm not going to say with who, talking about world and this and that, and I'm like, oh my God, can somebody just shoot me right now? Because you can see that immaturity in most of the kids who are this. I was like that, the worst one of them all. And then when Saturn came, boom, things changed, and I just woke up. I'm like, why was I even thinking like that? Oh, okay, I was stupid. This is why your brain does not fully develop at the age of 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. At the age of 28, the brain finishes his task or its task of being fully developed as a person. So if you want to know if you're an adult or not, your Saturn return will tell you. Only between 28 and 30. Actually, after 30, you're an adult. Life starts at 30. That's another saying. Why? It's not just something somebody said. No, this was an astrological statement. Life starts at 30 because after 30, you are finally a person that Saturn wants you to be. Saturn transits over Rahu. Clears all the illusions that you have been building in your life. Oh, yes, I'm going to be a great movie star. Oh, yes, I'm going to be a billionaire. How am I going to be a billionaire? I don't know. I'm just going to be a billionaire. Oh, yeah, I need that Mercedes Benz, man. I got to come to my school looking cool. Can I get a loan? Can I get a debt? Boom. Saturn goes over your Rahu. Saturn just like shows the reality of what Rahu is and what you are. It separates you two. Separates your illusion from the real world. So Saturn transit over Rahu shows your failures if you were not awakened before already. If you were just thinking that things will just happen because of the fact you just feel like they should happen. Saturn just gives you a reality check with Rahu. Like I get people saying, can you please tell me if I'm going to be a billionaire? I really just want to be a billionaire. Some way or somehow, some way, I just want to be a billionaire. You know who you are, who emailed me this in your career consultation. What's going to bring me the money? I just want to make billions. And then Saturn comes over Rahu. Clears out all your illusions. He's like, what are you doing? Well, how are you thinking? A billionaire did not become a billionaire because he said, I want to become a billionaire. No, a billionaire became a billionaire because he said, I want to bring this out to the world. How can I do it? I don't care how much money I make. I just want to make sure that people get this. Like what I'm doing. Like I want to give the most detailed, minute detailed information to the world that was never available on the web regarding astrology or Vedic astrology. So I'm bringing that to the world. I don't care. At my age, I don't care. Oh, $1 billion. Oh, yeah. Saturn shows you the reality of the things, situations. Saturn shows you, what's your boundaries, what's your reality. So when Saturn goes over Rahu, he kind of clears the window and said, this is where you are. You're not in the middle of an Academy Award ceremony receiving an award. No, you're holding a tray of water for the superstar just so you can get a chance. What are you going to do now? This is where your reality is. This is your illusion. Stop it. Stop this illusion. Think of being that person, but do it by taking action, working hard, not by just sitting there and daydreaming. Saturn transits over your Ketu. And I actually had this today too. I told this person that in 2011 you must have gone through a major transformation in your spiritual beliefs because Saturn transited over her Ketu. Now I'm waiting for the reply from her, but that's what I saw. I'm like, man, she's got to go through some major transformation in 2011. What Saturn does, it shows you where you need to find yourself. That's what Saturn does with Ketu. Where do you find yourself? Because Ketu is a headless body. It's a body that is running around not knowing where it's going. It's like a chicken with its head cut off. What Saturn does, it kind of puts you, like holds you, like, hey, Ketu, hold on. Look within. That's where you'll find everything. You won't have to move away from this place. You're in the morning fog looking for the road. Just stay where you are. Close your eyes. The road is exactly where you're standing. So what Saturn does, it makes you aware of your spiritual senses. Your true self, your true identity, your true religion that you should be following is this energy within. Then on the malefic side, Ketu is like a wormhole. It's like a black hole. You don't know what exists in the black hole. This looking within can actually explode outside. This is why whenever you see whenever we study in astrology or mundane astrology, bomb blasts, what do you call this one? Genocides, persecution for religious belief. We see this Ketu being, we look at the transit of planets on Ketu or Ketu transit on another planet. Because Rahu, Ketu, especially Ketu, is a very unpredictable energy. It's an energy that has to be, and it's still being studied. A lot of research has to be done on it. Because it brings results like that you just don't expect and don't feel like being in. But again, Saturn is saying that if you have been doing everything right, all I'm going to do is make you be aware of your special belief. If you are hurting people, raping women on the name of God, making children slaves, this and that, of course, I'm going to kill you in a bomb blast when I go over your Ketu. I'm going to make your head be decapitated. What do you call that? Whatever that thing is. I'm totally brain dead with that vocabulary. But, you know, it executes you. So all of these things, you have to know that Saturn is not responsible of bringing any bad things in your life. It is you. All Saturn does is activates it. Okay? So guys, this was my analysis of Saturn over other planets. And I know Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are also to be involved. And I'll cover that for you guys. See, Uranus, actually I should do this, because I do want people to know about these energies, where Pluto is about completely throwing something out and building it new. Neptune is the energy that changes and transforms some things into something else. Uranus is the energy of creation. Creates. So when Saturn transits over your Uranus, it's going to force you to create something in your life that Uranus wants you to create. It could be anything. These planets are not restricted to certain things, certain karakas or significators. Saturn transiting over Uranus will say, you need to create something now in your life. Saturn transit over Neptune, it says, no, you need to change this thing into this. So like, let's say if your relationship ends, what it does, it wants you to transform your love from one thing to the other. Instead of relationship, your love needs to be focused on your paintings, your art, your spiritual, your faith. Pluto. Saturn goes over Pluto. If Pluto was somehow involved in anything major in your life, it'll throw it away. Relationships, throw it out. Get a divorce, go on, move on. Something new, this way you're wasting your time. So that's what the transit of Saturn does on these things. Because it's bringing responsibility for you to either create something new, change something, or get rid of it. And you will automatically do it. So that's what it does with these outer planets. So guys, this was my analysis of Saturn transit. I know it's a very long video. Hope you enjoyed it and learned something. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And again, if you want to know where your planets are placed, where Saturn is transiting right now as we speak, all my books, consultations, for that check out the links here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.